Hello, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Let's play chess. Alright, I just won this game about 5 minutes ago. I had the black pieces coming off a win before it. That was very accurate. And it's kind of maybe we'll go over this at the end of the review of the game, which I intend to review. Uh, but it's quick, and I won due to an opening tactic in the first game. Now here in the second game, things were quite different, as you can see by the graph, the game progress graph. It was even until about I don't know, move 8 or so, and things got crazy. And that's pretty quick to get crazy. But let's look through the game almost move by move. Okay, so this is just some version of a um, King's Indian attack. Most often, the knight will come to f3, and then white will castle kingside, and it will be classified as a King's Indian attack. Kings because kingside, Indian because the thin shadow, attack because white. And so, as black here, I'm going to play sort of type of game that's more often played as white, and that's just straightforward center grab, right? That black is really controlling the center through the most classical way. The most classical way being occupying the center with pawns and pieces, and also attacking the center with both. My opponent, in a more hyper modern fashion, is likely to has already fin shadowed his bishop, they bishop, and the knight comes to f3. Um, and is more along the lines of attacking from the sides, that kind of idea, which is a hyper modern idea in chess. Okay, a few moves, and we see my opponent has brought his queen to a4 safely and early. So it's a double-edged sword, because it gives black a lot of options, maybe to suggest a queen trade by queen a5. There's even the idea maybe of bringing the bishop back to d7 to scare away the queen at fear of a discovered attack, unveiling the bishop from d7 onto a4. I went against both those options to play queen d7, which still leaves this unveiling idea there, but it won't be a. At worst it's a queen trade for white. So, but also unpins the knight importantly, so that the knight is still guarding e5. Queen to c2. Yeah, no, I generally see queen to a4 and then queen to c2 after as a waste of time. All right, so black should have an edge on the evaluation bar, and indeed he does. Bishop e7, then bishop g5. Sort of putting the question to the bishop in a less than usual way with pawn to h6. The bishop, my opponent decides to trade bishops on e7. I'm glad for the whole maneuver. I got this Luft ready for my king side, for my king once he kingside castles. I got my knight developed, and black is worn and ready to go. Here we go. Kingside castle. White has a safer king, at least for the moment, although that's hard to say too, because queenside castles is available, kingside castles is available, staying in the center is available. I think I kingside castle in the game. Nope, I pushed g5, stressing the flexibility lent to black by the fact that he hasn't chosen a side to castle yet by castling to that side. So pawn to g5 and knight to d2. And now with bishop to f5 is a strange move, and I agree that it's an inaccurate move, mostly because e4 is supported once, twice, and thrice. Once by a pawn, another time by a knight, and another time by the queen. So if white wants to, white can pretty much just bully this bishop out of f5. I think that's what happens. Yeah, so my opponent made the correct and accurate move. However, this does open up the d file, and due to the placement of white's knight on d2, it's possible that black will be stronger on the d file. I think black has a better chance at being the stronger side on the d file. Then again, white has maybe lost some time with the taking two moves to go first to f5 and then to h3. And where was this knight, or where was this bishop before that? A long time ago moved to e6, so I'm not sure if we would count that, but it's him taking a few moves with that bishop, and that's not ideal. Here comes the sad part of this game is that this was a complete blunder. Now I'm gonna look see if I can find exactly where. My eyes are turning towards bishop takes h3 to try to skewer the queen and king. I don't know. Let's check the analysis. Will be a lot quicker, so I don't waste anybody's time unnecessarily. Knight at f takes e5. Right, I was looking at this too. I thought knight takes e5, knight takes e5, and then the queen still does not have f5 because of white's queen. There's probably something wrong with g4. That's because the knight's now here attacking there. Okay, so not the greatest tactical play by yours truly. Hopefully I'll be able to fix errors like that in the future. Some trades on e5, queen e6, and now we get a break here. Black finds the correct move with bishop takes g2, king takes g2, and after queen takes e4, we're attacking white's king on the one hand, and we're adding a second attacker against the knight on d3 on the other hand. So black is going to go up a full piece, a full minor piece here. You see the exchanges. Now here's an idea. Part of me wants to play rook h to d8 here and go double on the file. If my opponent wants to skirt out of that, though, I was a little bit scared of rook to e1. And I might play knight to e5 to not be attacked, but there's no longer the trade. Trading when you're ahead in material is very important. Avoiding trades when you're behind in material is very important. So I prioritize the trade on d1. After both rooks trade off, then I offered another trade by playing rook to d8, and my opponent took it. So I'm in an endgame, and I have the only piece. I have the only minor piece. There's only one piece on the board. It's a minor piece, and it's mine. The pawn situation is, even otherwise. So black should win here. This is a win. I activate my king. I'm now setting up choices for white, which are not. And I'm setting up choices that are bad choices for white. Does white want to trade pawns? Which at this point, because it's a knight, and because I have the only minor piece, we do want to scatter pawns a little bit. Not to keep trading pawns until we have below 3, but in this position, f4, you know, actually we don't even have to scatter pawns. We could even play g4 and keep things locked on the king side. But just claiming space, moving pawns along, nothing too crazy. After pawn c4, I'll get my knight to where he's relevant. Alright, right here on d4, a nice strong outpost, can't be attacked by any pawns. The king could attack him, except that c5 is protecting the knight from behind the sort of line of demarcation, if you will, from white against black and black against white. And not only that, with pressure like b4, black can simply play b6 and exchange his lead to the knight still on a very powerful square. So the knight on d4 is strong. h4, and I decided to let this sort of spread out, not because I like my opponent having an outside pass pawn, but because I like my own pawn, my own pass pawn to be the one pass pawn on the board that is protected once by the knight, and then twice by the king. Once each by knight and king, really. King to e5, I think, is a little bit of a... It doesn't really matter. My ultimate destination is going to be to push f and then slide across. I think at first I had thought maybe going to f6 and then going around, but now I thought when I played the move to play king to e5, which is also totally winning. After f5, the king slides over, is closer to nabbing the h pawn, and black can always play f3, where that pawn is now very importantly protected by the knight on d4. So a lot of this is calculation. Yeah, let's say that. And sometimes we just go to, I mean, classically, in this position, black might want to play f3 check, then hold the opposition with king to f4. These pawns cannot advance, and it's a different way to close out. Creatively, though, you can totally play how I did, to play, what did I play? Knight to c2, and that knight's just going to move around with a lot of freedom and gobble up these remaining pawns. So now this board is completely won, of course. But I want to go back to, classically you want to show, I think, I'm not sure if this is really true, maybe I should say it. There's a possibility that f3 is considered more elegant of a way for black to prove the win here. Yeah. Pawn to f3 is I don't want to say better, because in chess, in terms of winning, it's not better. It's just more elegant. I don't know how else to say it. It's using fewer resources or something. Yeah, it's also not as obvious. So in terms of winning, you just pick off these pawns with the knight, and you got, you got pawns for days going towards promotion. Yeah, and as white has the opposition here, then we maybe compromise. That's interesting. Anyway, either way wins the game. Let's see. All right. All right. Overall, the game we reviewed, this is how the game itself finished out. Overall was accurate. 86% for my part, 81% by my opponent's part. So I was glad to have won a nice, accurate game. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Have a great night.